One.
Hey guys, it's Ash and Gonzo, and you're listening to Genuine this morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, everybody in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm doing fantastic. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and the feeling of summer is in the air. This weekend is Memorial Weekend. It's just basically the gateway to summer.
Exactly. What are your?
I am
I'm
so
sorry.
stoked about. No, I'm so stoked about it. I mean, it's this is the time of year, and I think it's you start lining up yourself for the summer as soon as you hit Mother's Day.
Right.
That's kind of the first big day that you celebrate. That you kind of say, boy, summer's just around the corner, and then you hit Memorial Day, and then summer's upon us.
Right.
So,
Well, you can definitely tell it's upon us with how hot it is already.
oh
Like,
my
it's
God,
stifling.
Well, you know what? It's funny that as I was preparing this morning, I thought about the same thing. When we started the show a few months ago, and there's photographs of you and me recording the show. I got a hoodie. I got I'm all dressed up because it's cold, right? In the
Right.
morning. And you can listen back to the shows and you can hear that it was just awful weather. But now it's like, you're in shorts, you're in a T-shirt, you're basically ready to go out there. And next week, it's going to be brutally hot.
Next Saturday, they said the high is 106.
That's going to be crazy. Totally.
Like, this miserable.
Well, you know what? And we complained about the weather raining and everything like that, a couple of months ago. And now we're actually complaining that it's beautiful outside. So I don't know which one, what it is. It is the reality of living in an area like Dallas-Fort Worth, which everybody, there's at least we don't have the mood swings that happen up north with the weather.
Right. Basically,
all of a sudden, it's summer and you didn't have a spring because it snowed all the way up to to June. So
right.
So one thing that this time of year makes me realize is that you have all these great memories of what summer was or is to you, and there's so many cool things that happen. Tell me, so what are some of the best summer memories, a couple of them that you've had when you think about summer?
Well, growing up, my grandparents belonged to a country club in Houston, and they did this day camp the month of June.
Uh-huh.
So we would do swim team and day camp. And
Uh-huh.
I have 15 cousins on that side. And
Uh-huh.
so everyone was allowed to start going when they were 5 years old. So my family was dispersed everywhere. We were the only ones that lived in Houston, so it was easy for us to go. But my cousins would come in and live with my grandparents for a month. And so it was so fun because my sister and I, and then when my brother was old enough, would go over there and spend the night with them. And at times there were like 8 of us there. And so they'd load up 2 cars to take us to camp, and we'd spend the whole day out there, just camp, swim team, swim meets. So that was, I did that up until I was 15. And so, but then also my family, we always went to Colorado every summer for 3
Why
weeks.
Colorado of all places?
Because it's so fun in the summer. There's so much to do in the summer, and the weather is just perfect. You get to escape the heat, and so that was always fun. We're actually doing that again this year. My parents rented the house, and so we're going with Olivia. My brother will be coming, and my sister and her daughter and husband will be going. So we'll all be going up there. That's later later in August. So excited that we're doing that because it's been years since we've done that.
That is awesome.
What about, and then just once I was in college or out of college, just doing trips, traveling.
Right.
It's just so fun. What about you?
Well, you know what? So for me, the weather actually reminds me of what it felt like a little bit like growing up in Puerto Rico. And as you know, I grew up, I'm one of the original Beach Boys in Puerto Rico. We lived in a beach town called Isla Verde, which is basically 5 minutes away from the airport. In fact, the airport is in Isla Verde. And it's the international airport that everybody lands when they go to Puerto Rico. But in any case, I remember, oh my God, I have so many great memories from growing up and then getting older. But growing up, what we would do, and one of the most memorable times is me and my best friend. His name is Chago Matos. I remember we must have been in 8th grade, and we didn't, we were 13 at the time, about to turn 14, something like that. And I remember we would walk to school because that's, in the beach town, that's how everybody got to school. Or most people, or at least I went to school that way. I walked to school every day. I remember there was this scene that's burned in my head as we're walking away from the campus. And it's like we look back and we look forward, and the only thing that we see is this beautiful blue sky. We can feel the breeze from the ocean, and we're saying we're going to the beach. And we basically, Ash, for the 2-3 months that we were off, that's all we did. We just basically hung out at the beach, had beach parties. We would go surfing every day that we could. We would go, sailing. We would play paddleboard and, not paddleboard, but paddle ball on the beach, which was a common sport or entertainment activity that we had there in Puerto Rico. And then, there was always the summer love, right? I mean, there was always some summer love, whether it was your girlfriend that you were dating at the time or a new one that you met or something like that. There was always some drama associated to a girl.
Right.
And then there was, you go out at night and you had parties and whatever. So all the summer activities, but mainly my memories about growing up in Puerto Rico were largely surrounded about this big beach community that we had and everybody hanging out. And, because we were in Puerto Rico, we rarely did anything outside of doing that because, that's what everybody did. We didn't travel. I mean, we didn't have the we were 5 brothers and it was difficult to get everybody on an airplane. And my oldest brother would come from college and his vacation time from college was in Puerto Rico. So that was pretty much, how I grew up all the way up through medical school, in fact.
That's so fun.
Because, I mean, I lived in Puerto Rico all my life. Now, trips, I will tell you that I really, until I started residency, and I'll have to say that maybe even after I got married, vacation was limited. So I usually went back home to Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico always was the place that I went for vacation. And we still do when we want to escape the hustle and bustle and stuff like that.
Right.
But now that I'm at this stage of my life, what we're doing a little bit more with the kids, and I can't wait, are trips that we take with the family. So now we're in this stage of our lives in which we're actually planning trips, and Natalie and I usually start planning those, I don't know, sometime in the fall. We already start thinking, okay, where are we going to go in the summer? Because, we want to get ahead of the pricing and the crowds, and everybody leaves, the trips for last minute. But this year, what we're going to do, and it's coming up in about 3 weeks, is that we are taking the boys to their first European trip.
So fun. Those are some of my best memories are going to Europe.
Oh my God. So so what we decided to do is, rather than going to there were so many choices, right? But we wanted to go somewhere so that they felt comfortable, at least with the language. And so we decided that we're going to take them to London.
So fun.
We rented it through Airbnb.
Okay.
We rented an apartment. A flat. We don't call them apartments in London. They call them flats. So we rented a flat, and we're going to be in London, just plain old London, for 2 weeks. And
that's going to be amazing.
Oh my God. We already, so Natalie and I we started buying tickets for certain shows, because the other thing about London is that, just like Broadway in New York, a lot of the big shows are played in London. So, and we started very early taking the kids to the theater. So, we took them to the Lion King. We took them to any theater, kids theater show that we could find, to at least get them involved in that part of cultural education.
Yeah.
Because everybody goes to the movies. Everybody may go to a rock concert. But theater still, to me, holds a very pure art form. So I love going to the theater. I'm not the purist that goes to everyone and every theater show, but we love going to the theater. And so we're going to take him to watch Hamilton, which is playing in London. They've memorized every single song for Hamilton. So
have they really?
Oh yeah. They can sing you the script. I mean, the score, everything. And so we bought tickets to go watch Hamilton, and then we bought tickets to watch School of Rock.
Oh, fun!
Which is also another one that's was created by Andrew Floyd Webber. And so we're gonna do that. We plan to go to the big attractions, the London Eye, Big Ben,
right.
Walk around, Windsor Castle, and it's on the heels of
the royal wedding.
Yeah, that we just basically that it just happened just a week ago. Which, by the way, the reason that we couldn't do the show, for those of you that listened last week, is I was in the middle of a transplant, and it was the royal wedding was happening that day, and I've got a funny story about that. But in any case, so we're going to go there. But the other thing that we did is that because it's going to be there's the Warner Brothers studio, that is where the Harry Potter series was filmed.
Yes.
So we're going to go there.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we're going to take a day trip to do that. We want to go to Stonehenge. And then the other thing is that because it's just so close by, we may hopefully someday we'll be able to take the boys there, but we figure that because we're in that area of the world, we're going to just go ahead and do a day trip, and we're going to take them to Paris.
Love Paris.
Yeah, and so we're going to, we'll go for a day and see the Eiffel Tower, maybe go to Notre Dame, go through the Louvre, and then head back to England. I'm sorry, to England and to London. But
right.
But there's a train, and basically we're just gonna take a train to Paris and spend the day there. So
traveling by train through Europe is so much fun. I love traveling by train.
And everybody tells me that it's really easy.
It's so easy.
Yeah,
it's insane. I'm like, I wish we had trains here.
Yeah, well, so that's Dallas. I mean, if you go to places like New York and all that stuff, you got
right
and all that stuff. But
no, this is so different than the subway. It's luxurious.
Yes. So we're gonna go. We're gonna do that. But it's summer vacation, and I can't wait to go to London with the family. It's one of those trips that I am really, really, really looking forward to.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it and what they think of it.
Oh,
it's just so fun. Going to experience another country and different cultures.
So speaking of London, and I know that this is not on the things that we're going to talk about, but did you watch the royal wedding?
Oh, yes. I was out of town at a wedding, and we got up at 5 a.m. and watched the royal wedding.
Really?
Yep. We watched it live. Everything, all of it live.
At 5 a.m. you woke up?
Uh-huh.
Girl.
We were drinking mimosas by 5:30.
So what'd you think about it?
I thought it was just beautiful. I loved just the pomp and circumstance of it all. It was just such a positive thing. Like, you didn't hear anything negative. I feel like these days when you watch stuff in the news, everything is just so negative about things that are going on. And it was just, I loved the little page boy, like the one that had that huge smile on his face when the music started playing as they're walking into the castle. And it just, I don't know. I loved everything about it. I wish I could see pictures from the after party. That's what I'm dying to see.
That's not going to happen. But
no.
But you know what? First of all, I was amazed of how beautiful that morning was.
Oh, they couldn't have asked for better weather.
Or it was morning because it started at noon. But that day was just like beautiful. And what I'm always impressed about these royal weddings is the dress attire that people choose to wear when they go to a royal wedding, and it's so old school and classic.
I know.
I mean, I don't know that I have ever seen in the United States a wedding that is as classic in terms of old school England as something like this.
No, you don't.
The hats, everybody, and they don't call it, what do they call them? They're not hats.
Fascinators.
Fascinators. Everybody had a fascinator.
Yes. And the tails that the men were wearing, like, I just loved it all.
And the other thing that was surprising is the amount of people from Hollywood that were at the wedding.
Present.
Yeah. I mean, and some of it didn't have necessarily to do with Meghan. Some of it just were there because they're friends with Harry.
Right.
Which was also surprising to me because I had never seen so much entertainment people in my life. Sir Elton John was there, George Clooney,
Oprah, Serena Williams,
it's everybody. All these famous figures that we see in sports and on TV, and certainly some of it has to do with Meghan because she was in TV. She's in TV and she's an actress, and so she's in that community. But no, it was beautiful. I was actually I wasn't at a wedding. I happened to be. I woke up that morning to do a heart transplant, and so while we were getting ready to do the transplant, I actually was sitting watching the live feed
right
on my cell phone. And then as soon as we started the transplant, which surprisingly enough happened as soon as she walked up to the altar and stood beside Harry and the process of the wedding started. So as soon as the bishop or the cardinal, whoever was actually marrying them, started speaking, I turned it off because I said, okay, I saw everything that I needed to see.
Right.
So now I'm going to go ahead and do a transplant. So it was an interesting day because I woke up at 3 a.m. I did a heart transplant. I saw the wedding. I did the heart transplant. Then it was probably about 10:30 in the morning that I drove home, stopped at Panera, had a sandwich, went back home, slept for a couple of hours, woke up, did rounds in Fort Worth. Then I drove back, and there was I can't remember if it was hockey or no, it was a basketball tournament. Ran back to Frisco, recorded the game for my kid, and then I was back, around 8 o'clock at night, and that was a full day of living right there.
And you burned an entire tank of gas in the
process. Yeah, and it was but you know what, those are the days that you remember, and I'm sure, and I hope that I'm never gonna forget that, because it was a full day of living. I have to say, for me. So it was actually cool. So you were actually out a couple of weeks, and I've been busy, so that's one of the reasons that we haven't been able to record. But you were out at the beach, weren't you?
Yes, we took Olivia to the beach. This is her second trip to the beach.
What beach did you go to?
We went to Naples, Florida.
Okay.
Last year we took her to Rosemary Beach, or Watercolor, and she was young. She was, 7.5 months. So she wasn't walking. She was barely crawling. So it was a whole different beach trip. And let me tell you, she hated the sand. Like,
what?
Petrified of the sand.
Why?
Like, I will have to show you pictures of, Lance, my husband, she was clinging to his neck so tight, he could have let go of her and she would have been hanging from his neck.
Was it because it was hot? It was too cold?
No, I don't, we took her down one day. And
she didn't like the feeling. That's a classic. We love that feeling of sand between your toes. There's
no. Like, during the day we took her for sunset twice. And at sunset, I finally put her down in the sand and took pictures. And everyone was probably like, that terrible mom. But I had to get pictures of her. She was beet red, crying, reaching up. She wouldn't walk. She wouldn't walk. She was literally petrified.
But do you know why?
I've had a couple people tell me, they're like, it wasn't until our kid was 3 that they were okay. It was just, I don't know what it was, but people gave us some other suggestions of, they said, bring down a blanket, put her on a blanket, that sort of thing. But she wanted absolutely nothing to do with the sand. Now, the pool is a whole other story.
Oh, pool. They're fearless when it comes to the pool.
Oh, my gosh. And she won't wear a floaty. And she literally, she'll go, and it's like she's counting to 3, and then she blows out of her mouth and jumps into me. And I'm just like, oh, my gosh. I caught her jumping off the dog bed yesterday. She was counting. She was counting, and then she'd blow out and fall to the floor. And I'm just like, Lance, we can't even blink when we take her to the pool because
Oh,
she'll be in.
these
And
are
she'll sink like a rock.
yeah. These are the moments. And I'll tell you one thing. You know what we did. That reminds me. I don't want to separate the stories between the things that the beach experience and I'll tell you my beach experience with my kids growing up. But one of the things that, on a separate note, that we did with all of our kids was we early on around this age, we took them to swimming lessons.
Yes.
And it was about getting them comfortable in the water, putting the floaties in. And we actually separated ourselves from the process because we let somebody teach them how to swim.
Yeah, you can't teach them.
No.
And you can't be there.
No, well, you can be there, and usually they require you to be there and sitting there by the pool side. But what the teachers would do is that they would teach him at a very young age how to get to the edge of the pool. That the whole survival mechanism for that was basically getting them comfortable in the water, which became dangerous because they would jump from every end. But once they were there, the teachers were able to teach them how to swim, or at least latch on to the edge of the pool when they felt that they couldn't, they couldn't swim or float. And that was those are invaluable, things that you should do for Olivia, because we did it with all the kids. And let me tell you, not that you're going to be irresponsible and not watch them while they're in the pool and all that stuff. But at least if something were to happen, they get pushed in or they trip, or they kind of feel comfortable in the water and then know what to do instantly when they do that. But going back to the story of the beach, it's funny because all three boys, we got photographs of this and video recordings of this. All three boys at every age loved going to the pool. I mean, going to the beach. Well, they love going to the pool, but they loved going to the beach. For them, it was just this. I mean, maybe it's just genetics. I don't know. Maybe because I grew up on a beach and I love the beach, and I always felt comfortable there. They were so comfortable in the beach. It was scary to the point that, not scary, because sometimes I would let them do that. They would come to the shore and they would see the waves coming, and the wave would actually kind of throw them off, and they would get dizzy and they would fall on their bottoms and all this stuff. And then, or they get rolled over by a wave, right? And I remember Natalie freaking out and all that stuff. But you just had to watch them, and I wouldn't let them, out into into the ocean deep. I mean, it was just on the shore, and if a wave just came crashing in, and they would fall and they trip, and the wave would cover them up, I would just let them go through the experience and then make fun of it, so that they got, instead of scared. Right. And I told Natalie, stop, because Natalie's, oh my God. And so I was like, okay, Natalie, chill.
Go back to the house.
Sit down and let me deal with it. And so they would get rolled over, and then I would start laughing, right? And then all of a sudden they saw me laughing, and they realized there was nothing to be scared about. They're like, oh, okay, this is fun. And so because of my reaction, they reacted towards the beach in a positive way. So they would go back, and now at that time I had to sort of intervene and hold them, because they would dash back into the water, but trying to go deeper. I was like, okay, stop. That's not what I meant.
Right.
But I encouraged them. They were so fearless about the beach, and to this day, they still are very comfortable in the ocean. And I took them through a graduated step. First it was the shore. Then we would go a little bit more, deeper until, they were waist high in water. And then, those times that I could, I would carry them deeper where the water was basically at my shoulders, right? And we would jump over waves, or we would let wave catch us and all this stuff. And I taught them how to duck dive. And that's when, I would surf, on a longboard, and they would get on the surfboard with me, and we do boogie boarding, all that fun stuff.
Fun.
So I don't know, maybe it's just because it's genetics, and we're all like, we're all love the water. And so basically, but they always had great experiences in the water.
It was quite entertaining. That's all I can say.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see the pictures. Well, speaking of ocean and surfing and all that stuff, Another big thing that I did just recently is I went surfing. So I went surfing.
Oh, you did?
I went to Inland in Austin, and I want to give a shout out to all the boys in Inland. They opened up the park about a month ago. I'm a member of Inland, which when you're a member, you get a 20% discount every time that you go there and go surfing. So, but I want to give a shout out to everybody in Inland. They basically, all the lifeguards and all the teachers there and all the crew that knows me over there. Shout out to the Inland crew. But it was so much fun. I went there yesterday, actually, to begin my Memorial Day weekend. I had a lull in activities, and so I figured I'd call my partner. I said, listen, there's nothing going on. Is it okay that I leave? And he said, yeah, go. So I woke up at 5 a.m, and I drove to Austin, and I caught the first wave of the day. And what's so sweet about the first wave of the day, it's that it's basically the lagoon where the wave gets created is just flat. There's nobody in the water. There's no ripples. It's not choppy. And as soon as the device, the pulley or the plow that they use to create the wave starts getting pulled and accelerates to create the wave, because it's basically flat, it's the most glassy, beautiful wave that you've seen on land. I mean, it is just a perfect wave.
How awesome.
Because I was the first one in the water, I was actually I had the right to catch the first wave. Oh my God, Ash. It was just like a religious experience. I mean, you just take off on that wave and the thing just peels, and it's just glassy, just like you see on TV or on video. It is just, oh my God.
That's awesome.
It was head high. I just ducked under the lip, and I just rode for 35 seconds. I just rode that wave. Oh my God. It was just, I could have actually driven back after that and not worried about the rest of, the 2 hours that I had there. But I surfed there for 2 hours, and then I had lunch. But today I'm so sore.
Are you?
It's literally if, I told you this, or maybe I said this in the show before. When you go to Inland, there's actually 5 people on this area called the reef where the wave gets generated that you basically surf. Well, there weren't 5 people. There was 3 of us in the first session. In the second session, there were 2 of us, which means that we had the whole place to ourselves, which means that you catch so many waves. Your body is just basically raw, because what you're doing is basically suicides, right. Back and forth surfing. So no, but it was a great thing. And so yesterday was so good and so fun. And I got back home at around 3:00 after spending, part of my morning in Austin. And I just wish they opened one. We were able to open one here in Dallas, because it'd be so convenient.
Oh yeah.
They also opened another one in another surf wave like this in Waco, which is a little bit closer. And I still have to go over there and watch it, see what it looks like, and have an experience in it. But that's my next place that I'm probably going to end up going. So
in Waco, but there's nothing here. That's kind of surprising.
Well, Brad. Well, the thing is about Waco is that there's already a water park there, and
right.
So what they did is, as part of their addition, they created a wave pool, and part of the wave pool is a surfing wave.
Oh, okay.
So they already had kind of the beginnings of it, and so they developed that. But my sense about what's going to happen with all these all these wave parks is that it's going to become like hockey. The transition between the ice pond and then creating an artificial environment where people can play hockey is the same thing that's going to happen with surfing.
Okay.
Surfing has been largely, because of what it is, largely limited to the ocean. Now, you can still wake surf, right? Which requires a boat. And people do wake surf, and there are competitions with wake surfing. But now creating a wave like man-made wave, and definitely Kelly Slater, who's 11-time world champion of surfing, has created a wave, and they have a surf ranch out in Lemoore, California. And he's starting to open up another wave park out in Orlando. I think that with these places opening it up, what's inevitably going to happen is that we're going to bring surfing to the masses rather than masses going to surf.
Right.
And so what everybody in the surfing community sees is that, 5-10 years from now, rather than having to travel to California, Hawaii, Mexico, all these exotic places, we still are going to do that. But the way that we're going to have people sort of get engaged with the sport of surfing is going to be by creating these parks and surfing parks that will allow people to easily access the sport of surfing, just like hockey has done, just like maybe soccer, just like baseball, that basically they have places where they can do it. And then have competitions that start infiltrating at the grade school level, right?
Right.
And then you start going all the way up to just like happens in hockey and other sports that basically you can make it to the professional ranks. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry out there when you talk about surfing and surfing gear and all the additives that come with the surfing culture, right?
Absolutely.
From sunscreen to board wax to boards to, bathing suits to everything. And so this is the beginning of something that's going to start taking over in the United States, and we're going to be talking about it probably 10 years from now. We're going to look at it and say, this is a really cool thing, and I really, I hope that I know they're going to eventually open one up here in Dallas, and they certainly have already opened one up in California. And they have one. I know Kelly's opening one up in Orlando or around there. But you can go to Typhoon Lagoon. You know Typhoon Lagoon in Disney? Speaking of
yes, I've heard of it. Yeah.
So Typhoon Lagoon is just a water park, and it's got a wave. Well, you can actually rent out Typhoon Lagoon for I think a couple of hours. You got to pay. I think with a group of people, would pay $1,000. I mean, I guess you can pay $1,000 yourself and then surf for 3 hours or 2 hours, however long. But after closing or before it opens, they basically can generate a wave in Typhoon Lagoon that you can surf.
Wow.
And and I've actually been invited by some of my friends that live down there in Orlando. I've never made it, but that's another place that you can go surfing. The price is a little steep, but right. I guess it's cheaper than buying an airplane and having to fly to Hawaii or California if you're on that side of the world.
Right.
So in terms of cost-wise, I think it's actually the same thing with Austin. Inland, I can drive down there, and it's 3 hours. It's a tank of gasoline, but it's cheaper than buying an airplane ticket, renting a car, getting a hotel, all that.
Checking your surfboard.
And speaking of, you hit on that.
That can't be cheap.
Well, you know how much they charge you for taking your board?
I can't imagine because I know what it costs to take golf clubs. So.
Okay, it's $150 one way.
Oh my gosh, you're paying $300 round trip for a surfboard?
$300 if you take your own surfboard, and that's in some airlines. Okay, the sick thing about it is that they charge you that amount of money, but they don't ensure that your surfboard is going to come back or arrive intact.
Really?
Well, they don't have insurance towards that. So let me tell you, so it happened to me. It happened to me a couple of years ago. I took my paddle board and I went surfing to San Diego. And on my return, the bag actually, I don't remember if it got in late. I think it came in late. Yeah, it came in, probably size-wise, they couldn't fit it in the particular plane, so they decided to put it on another plane. But the bottom line is that it made it late. And so what I never do, I opened up the case in front of the lady, and I looked at the board, and it was smashed. Somebody had actually put almost like a heel into it.
Oh. And
it was a heavy damage. I mean, it wasn't just like a little ding. It was actually smashed. So I went to the lady and I went through the whole process. And after going through the whole process, they refused to pay for any damages, claiming that I had not put the surfboard in a hard
properly secured.
Yeah, properly secured it. And I'm like, I did properly secure it. And they start reading through the lines and say, well, you know what you really have to do it it wasn't in a hard case. And so they go by, and I'm like, there's no such thing for surfboards. There's no hard case. So anyway, it just made me mad, and nobody actually, I never ever got paid, but there have been other folks that have actually had their surfboards just basically snapped in half, a whole quiver.
Oh my gosh.
Now, those are so flagrant that basically the airline companies have basically paid for it. But in any case, those are a little bit of surfing stories that I have when you go traveling with a board. Hey, Ash, we're almost at the end of the show time, and I know that you got to run and start doing some things. I don't hear the producer in the background calling for
Not
you
yet.
but I saw my producers are starting to wake up. So let's basically start signing off for the show. Listen, guys, thank you so much for listening. Sorry that we haven't been online in the last couple of weeks, but between Mother Day's week and Ashley traveling and me actually doing transplants, it's been a little bit difficult to sort of get together and do the show. But we promise you that we're going to continue to do this every Saturday, and we really do appreciate the time that you've been putting in to listen to our show. So, Ash, with that being said, any big plans for this weekend?
Taking her to the pool, just hanging out.
Sweet.
What about you? Same?
I'm not on call. The boys do not have any sport activities, so I am just going to chill in my backyard, grill out every day, and at night I'm going to try to enjoy, with the family or with Natalie, a nice bottle of wine.
Nice.
That's the plan for the weekend.
Sounds kind of like what we're going to be doing.
Perfect. Listen, gang, thank you so much for listening. This is Gonzo and Ash signing off for Genuine. Have a great weekend, and hope that you tune in next week to listen to our show. Ash, have a great weekend.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.